eventually. I think we're there.
All right, we are live.
You're
Welcome,
live.
everybody. To Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 576. And let's see, today.
Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts on the 10th of December, 2025.
What's going on? Does Chris not see you?
Adam is
Chris, can you hear me? I think Chris is really delayed. So, Chris, if you get this, cut it for a minute. Anyways, I'll keep running. You already heard from Chris what the date is. Things are going well. I'm going to say hello to the guys, and Chris will probably skip you. If you want to type something in, we'll say it because I think you're delayed by like 15 or 20 seconds. So, Bradley, besides technical issues, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here. Got a lot of stuff about to pop, man. We've had a lot of AI development stuff going on for the last few months, and got several things that are just about done. So really excited to share some of that with everybody here shortly.
Yeah, no, we were looking forward to hopefully sharing some stuff with everyone next week. It looks like it's going to be pushed back another week, but we want to get it out before Christmas so that you can check that out and have some time to use that and, get familiar with it before the break. But hopefully we can. If not, we'll get that out to everyone as soon as we can. So as usual, I want to talk about three things real quick. If you haven't heard about the Local Mastery weekly newsletter, you should go check that out at localmastery.semanticmastery.com. This is 5 to 7 actionable local SEO insights each week. Comes with an action item for each one, and it's all in a newsletter that you can read in under 30 minutes. This takes hours and hours of training and content and really compresses it down. This is a really high-speed way for you, whether you're a freelancer or an agency owner. Again, check that out at localmastery.semanticmastery.com. There's also the Local Ops SEO Blueprint. All right, this is a systemized approach to local SEO success. If you are more on the getting started side or you want it to build that solid foundation, this would be a really, really good place to start. And you can find out more about that at localops.semanticmastery.com. And if you already got things going, you've got clients, you want to take this up to kind of the next level, whether, again, you're a freelancer or an agency owner, you should check out the Mastermind, and you can find out all the details at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. So with that said, Bradley, anything else we need to go over before we jump into questions?
No, I don't think so. We've got a handful of questions already that are pretty good. I'm going to talk about, I may do a little bit of teasing and demoing of some of the stuff that we just kind of, talked about briefly. So I can show kind of some examples of some stuff that we've got coming down the pipeline here. And, very soon we're going to have these ready for launch. So I might do a little bit of teasing on that. But other than that, we have a handful of good questions. So if it's cool, I'll just go ahead and get right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sweet. All right, guys, let me grab the screen. And again, bear with me while I try to figure this out. There it is. Share screen. All right.
It's like, do not exit.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do this via Windows first. And then I'm going to have to switch because if I've got a really super wide monitor now, and if I go full screen, it's going to look strange to everybody because it'll be big black bars on the top and the bottom, but like this real long, narrow video. So I think it's best if I try to do it one at a time. So let's go ahead and grab this. We'll start with the questions. Confirm that you're seeing my
Good to
screen.
go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with the questions. Actually, you know what? Let me back up and start with the teasing first, and then we'll get into questions. Stand by. Let me grab the screen, the other one. And that's going to be here. Yeah. All right. So this is something I talked about this a few weeks ago. It was, I think, our 11th anniversary special or episode, our 11th anniversary episode. I gave away some training about how to do, how to use Gemini to identify content opportunities for getting into AI search. And, since then I've done a lot more testing and found some additional ways to improve the performance of campaigns when trying to get into AI search. One of the questions from today is about, do we have tips and training for how to get into AI search? And yes, 100% we do. I'm going to share some of it now, but we're going a lot deeper in the mastermind for sure. All right. So Notebook LM is freaking amazing, guys. If you're not using it, then you're really missing out. Notebook LM is awesome because you can, go pull in data sources that then you want to restrict the AI. In this case, Notebook, it's Gemini, but it's just using in Notebook LMI, it basically puts kind of guardrails on how the AI operates and how it works. And so in other words, with Notebook LM, we still get the power of Gemini, but we can restrict where it goes, like what type of resources it pulls in or sources it pulls in for its information, et cetera. And that's what we're looking at here. Is then over here on the sources side is where we can add sources that basically is it's like a container. It contains the AI into only using the sources that we've provided. So it doesn't, it's a lot less prone to hallucination, making stuff up and all of that. And so very, very powerful, guys. It's one of my favorite tools available right now is Notebook LM. I'm using it for so many things. It's nuts. Using it to actually provide visual representations of audit reviews now, because I just load all the documents, video, et cetera, into Notebook LM, and then I can create infographics and all kinds of stuff that just make our analysis reports kind of more rich. Like they have more visual aids and things like that just make them more valuable, right? And easier to consume, easier to read and interpret, et cetera. So it's really, really good. But the short of it for this is specifically, like I just was showing an example in the mastermind last week about this. And I think it's worth talking about briefly because it's, there's so many different ways that you can get into AI search right now. But the three biggest ones really are structuring content in the appropriate way that you're publishing on either the branded domain or in a branded external domain. So an associated branded asset that may not be the primary domain, but still fully connected to the brand. Like in other words, you could use Google Sites. Google Sites are slow to index for some reason, which is really strange. It's a Google site, but any kind of Web 2.0 blog, branded blog, like Medium's a good one for this kind of stuff. There's a number of things that can be done with external blogs. I've also recently started testing with putting subdomain blog on the root domain of client sites, because I've talked about this a lot in our mastermind, but it's not wise to publish blog content on the root domain for local business type sites, because those blog posts end up competing most of the time with top level product or service pages or location pages, which is where the conversion goals are, right? That's where, it's usually the location page that should be ranking for local search queries. And if you have competing content on the site because you blogged, you published a bunch of blog posts on the site that are targeting variations of search queries that then compete with the top level pages, that causes problems. And so I've been telling people for about 2 years now to stop blogging on the main website, do it on external blogs. However, there is something to be said about posting content onto a subdomain blog instead, because that way there's a direct association between the domain and the content, even if Google treats the subdomain as a separate site, so that therefore blog posts are not competing with top level pages on the root domain. You see what I'm saying? So I've been doing a little bit of testing with that. I don't have enough data for me to have a definitive answer as to whether or not that's the most appropriate thing to do or not, but I have started testing with that. But that said, through this process, I've kind of worked on developing some additional ways to get into AI search. And there's the on-page stuff that I just talked about. So it's not just there. We can look for opportunities where it's more likely for us to get, our clients' content referenced in or cited within AI search. But there's also the opportunity for just structuring content in a better format that makes it more likely to be pulled into AI search. So what I'm getting at is I've approached this two different ways, in that I would use Gemini to ask Gemini, like, hey, where are there topical gaps that I can exploit or that I can fill for these particular search queries? And then I can take those queries, and what I do is I go, and I talked about this, like I said, on the 11th anniversary special. So I'm not going to go through the whole process, guys. I'm talking more about it here, and I'll just demonstrate some examples in a moment. But go to Google AI mode search, which is just, by the way, that's just Gemini basically. But go to Google AI mode search, and then search for whatever queries it is that you're trying to get referenced for the brand mention in for an AI search, and use something like Link Gopher to extract the URLs. And then you want to clean out any of the non-relevant URLs like Google Google URLs and things like that to just extract the URLs for the results that were referenced in the AI search results that aren't Google links and things like that, but are, third-party links that are that were being cited by the AI search, right? Does that make sense? Like, in other words, we want to go extract the URLs that are being cited in the AI search results. And we want to eliminate any of them that aren't relevant, like Google links, et cetera, and just keep the ones from external domains, not Google, but from external domains, okay? Because those are the ones that are being cited by AI search. Well, then we extract all those, and this was just a demo, so I don't have nearly as many sources in here as I would typically do. But once you get those sources, you just open up a Notebook LM file or a new notebook in Notebook LM, and you click Add Sources and you paste the URLs in. And you can do this for a number of related queries so that you can get a more thorough source set of, it's a more thorough data set as the source that you can use as the source. In this case, I just looked up tree service marketing and I just pulled out the, whatever it is, 17 sources or whatever it is, 20 however many sources it is. I would do other things like pull in the URLs for things like tree service advertising, tree service lead generation, several other kind of queries, and just kind of flesh this out a little bit more thoroughly. So that then now you've got a notebook that's set up specifically for, in this case, again, tree service marketing, things like that, right? So then I could come in here and I could use this same notebook over and over and over again to create content or to create an outline or kind of a content brief. Because I don't like to use Notebook LM to actually generate the content. I only like to use Notebook LM to do the research and generate the content briefs or the outlines, okay? Then I will go take that brief or outline and then go into a Gemini gem that I have attached my tone and style guide to, so that then, well, if it's for my business, then I will go take the brief from Notebook LM after I get the, kind of where it identifies there's opportunities for my content to likely get returned or cited within AI search results. Then I can take that brief and go to a Gemini gem that has been set up for the company or the client that we are publishing the content for. In my case, it would be for myself. Then the Gemini gem that we have the tone and style guide for the subject matter expert that we are assigning as the author to that content. So for each company now, like I've started doing this for several of my tree service contractors. They're kind of beta testers for me right now, but I'm 100% rolling this out for all of my client work because it's working like crazy. I've talked about this a lot, but right now, one of the ways that I think you can bypass the Google's suppression filters for AI generated content is by just assigning authorship to a content. If somebody, a subject matter expert, a real, not some persona that you just create online and you go to, you just create some bullshit image and give it a bio and all this kind of, no, I'm talking about a real verifiable subject matter expert that works at the company that you're providing marketing services to. That's what I mean. So assigning authorship to content, branded content that is being published on the brands or the company's behalf, that authorship association with the content seems to make the content perform better. It's like it's bypassing the suppression filters that Google has blanketly applied to what it thinks is AI generated content or content that doesn't have somebody that's claiming authorship. Okay. So the reason I bring that up is because Notebook LM is great for identifying and providing the outline and the blueprint, whatever, the content brief, so to speak. But then you take that and you go into whatever your favorite chat model is. I like to use Gemini gems for this, but Gemini gem is what, again, a tone and style guide is where we create a data pack or a set of instructions, so to speak, that then we can publish content in the same tone and style, the voice, the cadence of the subject matter expert that we have now assigned as the author, for all the content that we're going to publish on that brand's behalf. You see what I'm saying? And so this is a very, very powerful combination using Notebook LM. And then I like to use Gemini Gem, but you could use Claude projects. You could use Grok projects. It doesn't matter. It's just, you need to have some sort of a language model that, that has a project setting. And then you add the system prompt as the tone and style guide for the persona, the subject matter expert that are publishing content on their behalf, so that when the content is published, it's in their voice, right? How they talk, how they write, their tone, their style. And then again, by associating an author to that content and then publishing that content with that authorship's name, claiming that they authored it, that helps that content to perform so much better. So getting back to what I was saying, it's not just about identifying opportunities where there is, openings or a good chance of getting content to cited in AI search results. A lot of the AI search results as it relates to local currently are not optimized to actually be pulled into AI search results. It's just the best that AI has to choose from currently. So what I'm saying is I started looking at this approaching this kind of a method or process with looking for where are the greatest opportunities for me to get AI content, because there's gaps that could be filled, right? There's openings where there's not a lot of good results yet. But through testing, I found out that honestly, a lot of the AI search results as it relates to local search queries or search prompts are just the best that AI had to choose from, meaning we can go into one that for search prompts that already have a full list of cited sources. So recommendations according to that model. It doesn't mean that we can't get in and push some of those out and insert ourselves into those AI search results by just having better structured content. That's what I'm getting at. Do you understand? So first, it's identifying opportunities. Number two, the way that the content is structured matters. Number three is authorship. So assigning authorship will make that content perform better. And I don't mean just any old bullshit persona profile that you set up to be the author. What do we do as agencies, guys? For the most part, at least from what I see, we publish content on the client's behalf, but it's generic, right? Most of the time, like there's, publishing content on the client's website, blogs, and things like that. There's not really, and again, I do white label services, so I see this all the time, guys. I'm constantly analyzing other SEO agencies, and SEO agencies, the kind of default is we do a lot of content publishing for the client, but the authorship component has been missing, and just adding that alone can improve the performance of the content. So that's what I kind of wanted to share with you guys today. So this is just an example of that I went through in the mastermind last week, which is where I just, like I said, and I'll just, I'll kind of demonstrate this. We're going to go to Google, go to AI mode, and I'm just going to say, what are the best methods for tree service marketing? And I just want to make sure, Adam, if you or Chris are still on, are you guys still seeing my screen moving? Like I'm in Gemini now, or Google AI search. Are you seeing that? Okay. I didn't get a reply, so let me back up. Looks like you guys are seeing my screen. Okay. All right. So here's an example. This is what I'm talking about. Let's see. I don't have link gopher here, so let me see. Well, anyway, what I would do here is just use link gopher and then extract the URL. I don't have it in this browser, but I would, fuck it. Let's just go ahead and add it real quick because I want to make sure. Link gopher. If I could type and talk. I saw a question, guys. Just give me a second and I'll come back and look at that in a minute. And there's several good questions too that I want to get to, guys. So just give me a minute. We'll get through this and then I'll answer the questions. All right, let's just go back to here. So what I'm talking about is just extracting URLs, right? So we're going to extract all the links here. And so what I would do, there's a number of ways you can do this. You can, do it manually, which I open up a notepad file, or I could do it by going to Google Drive, right? And adding it into just a new Excel file. And then just extracting them, whatever it is, right? I showed this before, but there's a little formula that I use typically. I don't have that document open right now, but there's usually a formula that I use that will get rid of all the Google URLs from the sheet right away. And then it will extract any of the text. Just so you guys know, let me kind of pull something open and show you guys this, because I want you guys to see something that this indicates this is, again, we can look at Google search results, guys, and identify clues about how we should be optimizing and what matters to Google, right? Just take a look at this one example right here about tree service marketing, which that's a shitty result. That's talking about personal brand for real estate agents. That doesn't make any sense. That's not a good result. So let's find another one. Let's pick another one. ArborNote. I know that because that's a software application company that for arborists. So right here's an example. Notice how you see this, guys, this pound sign, colon, squiggly, whatever that is, tilde or whatever they call it, whatever text equals that right there. That is appended to each of the end of these URLs, which this is the text that Google says that it found in that page that made this page relevant to that query. Do you understand? So it's important to understand that Google's looking at specific text strings that are relevant to the search query or the search prompt, depending on how you look at it. And then it's showing you in the URLs that are being cited in the AI search results what it is looking for. Like, how did it associate this URL with that query? And so that's some clues that you can extract for what you should be optimizing for. But in any case, what I was saying was you can then grab the URLs out of the sheet or whatever it is that once you've cleaned out and got rid of like the my policies and google.com and all these others, you just clean it down and whittle it down to just the relevant URLs that were pulled back from this result. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. Then you would go into Notebook LM and you would just click to add sources. And then that's where you're going to add all of those new sources. Okay. So click add sources, just do websites. You just paste the links in there, click insert. It's going to go try to read those URLs. If it, for whatever reason, is unable to read the URL, it'll give you a Reddit kind of notification, and you can eliminate that from the result. So, yeah, see, that's just a generic a Facebook link. So we can actually get rid of that because it's not valid. So you can remove them, etc. But anyways, once you have your results in there for whatever search query it is or search prompt, however you want to call it, that you want to then optimize for. Then again, you fill out your sources, and then you would come over here and you would do a kind of a research on this, right? I've got a prompt here. Let me see if I can pull it up. I didn't have that open. Let me see if we can do this really quick. SEO content topic cluster right here. So this right here is a prompt that you can use this is the prompt that I use to then go create an article based upon the content that was pulled or the sources here. So in other words, I can come in here and you'll see where I put a prompt here. It says, you are an expert SEO researcher with 5+ years experience. Your task is to analyze the top 10 Google search results for a given keyword and deliver a precise structured report. Follow the plan, compute, verify framework. Okay, so plan, compute, verify, topical gaps, AI overviews, outlines. So this is kind of the 5 steps that I'm telling in the prompt for it to go analyze this information. And right here's the keyword that I'm telling it to analyze when it's pulling all this information back. Now that's only using these sources here. You understand? So ensure each section in your report is clearly labeled. Use plain text lists, no tables or JSON, and a human reader downstream tools can easily. So a human reader and downstream tools can easily parse the findings. So here's what I'm trying to show you guys. I want you to see how detailed this plan is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually copy this out and just put this into a notepad, a Google Drive file so that it makes it a little bit easier to see. A Google Doc, I should say. So let me open this up. But this is what the output was from that. Now, remember, this was just a demo. So the data set was a little bit sparse. In other words, I would have fleshed that out with more sources that are about tree service marketing, tree service advertising, tree service lead generation, etc. Okay. But this right here is, I'm going to say, let's see, tree service marketing, AI SEO analysis for tree service marketing. Okay. I'm just going to put that there for now. But this now, guys, is the plan that Notebook LM, I'm not going to use Notebook LM to draft the article. I'm using Notebook LM to come up with the content brief, the plan. Do you see this? This is very detailed. Okay. This is coming from the prompt in the Notebook LM notebook that I just added with a very specific set of sources. So this is a very, very thorough output for how to optimize for the greatest chance to get into AI search for that search phrase or search prompt. Okay. Tree service marketing. All right. So then what would I do? All right. We're going to go over to Gemini. I'm going to go to Gemini Gems. Okay. You'll see that I have a demo here that I use, but just very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and delete this demo so that I can show you what I mean by, and this is one of the things that we're launching here, guys. We're going to try to have it launched next Monday, the 15th. But we're going to try now to launch it on December 22nd. I think that's, Monday, December 22nd, right before Christmas. The reason why it's delayed is we have some publishing automations and 3 different publishing automations that I had my AI dev team develop, an N8N workflow, a make scenario, and then one that's a direct integration with Go High Level Social Planner. And that way, from this, what I call ACE, which is AI Avatar Copy Engine, okay, we can create content in a persona specific tone, style, voice, etc. And then when the content is produced by the gem, then it can automatically populate or publish, to the various social media channels, etc. And so that's right now it's the syndication and publishing automations that have got us delaying the launch, because it's not fully. She's got my developers got 2 of the automations done. The N8N automation and the direct to Go High Level Social Planner is done. She's working on the make automation, or what they call make scenario, this week. Okay, so I expect that it will be done by next Monday. That's our check-in days. And then that'll give me a week to get the publishing automations tested. But anyways, this is the clone constructor training. That's what it's called, clone constructor. We are, when we launch it, whether it's the 22nd or if we have to wait until after New Year's, in any case, when we launch it, this is part of that. Okay, I hope you guys understand that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that I'm just going to go in and click a new gem. Now, remember, a gem is very similar to like a Claude project. So I'm just going to say Bradley Ace demo again, just like it was previously. And I'm just going to say demonstrating copy generation in my tone and voice, or my tone and style. Okay. So anyways, I'm just going to put that there. And then for the instructions, guys, what I do is I put in the tone and style guide. Again, we're going to be launching training to show exactly how to create a tone and style guide so that you can literally have Gemini or whatever AI model you want to use publish copy. So written copy, so scripts, social media posts, blog posts, articles, anything you can think of in the personas, tone and style with the way that they speak, the way that they write, etc. All of that is done through the clone constructor process. So I'm going to show you guys where that is. Let me just show you very quickly. You know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to have to open it anyway. So just give me a minute. All right. So you're going to see the style guides. I've got a number of iterations here because I constantly am kind of revising these. Let me make sure. I think the newest one is 3.1. It is. So you can see it in format right here in Google Drive format. I'm going to add it as an MD, or I'm just going to copy it and paste it into the system instructions. But this right here, you guys can see this is what's called the tone and style guide for me. This is what we add as system instructions to the gem. And then anything that the gem outputs will be the way that I speak and talk and write. That's what this is. It's 17 pages of instructions to instruct the gem or the AI model, whatever it is that you're using, to be able to write in my tone and my style with the types of words. It's funny, but you'll see in the output, it says like in the output copy, it will have things like, does this make sense? Like the way that I talk. And that's precisely what we want. Okay. And this is how we get to author content with authenticity for a subject matter expert that works at whatever company it is that we're contracted to do marketing for. Okay. So this is the way that we can then take all that data that we're able to extract from things like Notebook LM and create this awesome prompt here for how to create. Here's, by the way, that was the plan. And then this is one of the ways that we can output it specifically so that it's more likely to be pulled back or cited in AI search. I'm not going to reveal this part of it because this is the really advanced part of stuff that is part of the mastermind training. So I'm not going to give this part of it away. But what I'm going to share with you guys, though, is just showing you that this is what we call the tone and style guide. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up in the MD file just to copy all text from this. Whoops. All right. So I'm going to go back to the Gemini gem. Right here, I'm going to paste that in. Okay. Then for the knowledge base, this is where we would take that the content. Where was the plan that I just pulled out of there? Let's see. Give me 1 second. This one. This is the plan that we just pulled out of there from Notebook LM. So this now becomes the knowledge base article that we're going to attach to the gem, right? So you understand the gem now has my tone and style guide, or the persona, whoever it is that we're publishing content on their behalf. That's their tone and style guide goes in here. And by the way, you just save this gem and then it's always available. Do you understand? And so from here, what I'm going to do is I want to I'm just going to use the Google Doc file. So I'm going to say add from Drive. This is part of the reason I also like using Gemini, because it just fully integrates with Google Drive. It makes it so much easier. But what I want to do is, that's it right there. That's the article that was, or the Google Doc that we just created from the Notebook LM output. Okay. So I'm going to insert that as the knowledge base. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and click save. That's going to save the gem. And now I'm going to click start chat. Now I've got nothing else attached to this, but my tone and style guide and that specific output from Notebook LM here, which is this, that very detailed report, which analyzed these as the AI search results for tree service marketing. And now it's provided all this information that we can then publish in my tone and style to try to create an article to address tree service marketing, so that it's more likely that I can get my content referenced in the search results. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say review. I always do this, review system instructions, instructions and attached data pack, or attached file, but I just call them data packs, and prepare to discuss or prepare to chat, either one of those. I'm going to also give it because Gemini has a tendency to not follow instructions unless you reinforce those instructions. I don't know why Gemini does that, but it tends to not follow instructions unless you're very clear. So I'm going to say, do not start publishing or start drafting, excuse me, the article, just review and prepare, or just review for now, excuse me. All right. So I always start with that. And then it's because I want it to kind of pull in the data into the context window. This may not be necessary, but this is the way that I do it. It's like priming the chat with the information that I want it to understand about what I'm going to ask it next. Before I make any copy requests, I want it to understand what it is that I'm trying to do. So there it is. I've reviewed the system instructions, the voice rules, and the SEO analysis file. And it says, take a look at this, guys. I see the massive gaps we can exploit that are explicitly called out in this report: technical execution, commercial contract, storm response, etc. I'm ready to apply the voice rules. And so what I would say then is that I would say, okay, draft an article that can be, there's another data pack that I would add to this that will then make sure the output of the content is in a very specific structure. That's what this output is here, by the way, just to be clear. This right here, this is the output when that other data pack is attached. Guys, I'm not giving that away here. Okay. Understand that's mastermind level training, but there's a very specific way to structure the content in chunks with certain token, staying within certain token thresholds within each. And then also the way that it's formatted. Tables, guys, tables are one of the quickest ways you can get into AI search, is through structuring content this way. So I would attach that other data pack to this gem, and then I would say, pull it out. So let me just demonstrate that. I'm not going to give that away, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that in. So I'm going to say upload files. It's an MD file, but I could have done it with the Google Drive file as well. So give me 1 minute. Oops, that's the old one. I know you guys don't see my screen. Just give me 1 minute. Let's see, admin. Okay, here we go. Okay, I just added it. So I would add this to the knowledge base, but I'm going to go ahead and add it just to the chat right here specifically for this. And then I'm going to say, okay, draft an article following the specific formatting instructions in the attached, God damn it, I can't ever talk and type at the same time. So give me a second while I correct all this. Formatting instructions in the attached data pack. Draft an article following the specific formatting instructions in the attached data pack. This article should be optimized for tree service marketing. And let's just leave it at that and say go. I'm typically going to add more to the prompt, guys, just to be clear. If you spend more time on the prompt, you spend less time revising. You understand? So I would spend a little bit more time on this prompt, but just for brevity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and run with that. By the way, you want to make sure you're using Gemini 3 for that. If you're going for copy, I tend to use that instead of like the fast or flash mode or whatever. So you see it's going to go out now. Again, if there's that additional data pack that's going to structure it the very specific way. Guys, you can still get in the AI search results right now without structuring the content in that specific way. By just having better content, it's much more likely to be then returned in AI search mode. But having it structured this particular way, it's almost like the cheat code, right? It really is, because it's literally there's an article that this I didn't come up with this, by the way. It was some other much smarter than me SEO that did a ton of work in the Google discovery engine, which is in large part it's powered by Gemini, but that's very much how AI search mode is kind of backed by Google's discovery engine, which again is powered by Gemini. And so he did a ton of testing and everything to figure out how to get in Google discovery. And that's now carrying over into Gemini and AI search. Okay. And so this is what I'm talking about. You can see that we've got this article here now that was, the markup here is, the article now is much more likely to be then returned into AI search mode. So I wanted to share that with you guys because we've got this coming up. Like I said, and this is part of AI SEO performance, but specifically the type of kind of content in what we're calling clone constructor is developing content in a very specific tone and voice. Okay. So I want to give you a quick example of this before we move on, because I know we're running out of time. And we still have a bunch of questions, but specifically this article that was published, and this was just last Thursday when I did this. So about a week ago. I want you to, guys, I see that something like notice, like if you were to start reading through this, you'd see that this is absolutely the way that I talk and speak, right? Look, I get it with tree service contractors, and pretty much any local business, they're busy, right? A lot of local businesses, unless they're a larger company with clear organizational structure, the owner is in this business working on a daily basis, managing all that kind of stuff. So when we talk about marketing, it can feel overwhelming, but effective tree service marketing is actually simple if you visualize it properly. So we go, again, this is the Gemini gem that created this kind of article that is using my tone and style and actually turns it into kind of a story, which I do very often, right? I try to explain things via stories. And so it did very good at this. And so you can see, again, this one came out better than the demonstration I'm showing you here today, but that's because this was a very weak prompt. Typically, I'm going to spend a lot more time with a much more thorough prompt, and it would have come out a lot better like this one is showing you here. This one is formatted the way that I expected it to be formatted. This output here was not, but that's because this was a weak prompt. This here, I spent more time on, I keep doing that. Where did it go? Here, this I spent more time on for the mastermind training last week, and that's why it came out so much better. But this is number one way, guys. So I just talked about, can you get into AI search? Yeah, this is how you do it with on-page optimization. In other words, content that you have control over how it's formatted when you publish it, and then also where you publish it matters. But then the off-page stuff that you can do to get into AI search is press releases and citations. Those are by far the most effective things right now for getting in the AI search as far as off-page signals alone. And what happens when you are publishing citations or business directory listings, and there's three different types. High authority business directory listings, which are typically national directories. Niche or industry specific directories. So that's, specific industry directories for particular industries, trade, trade associations and things like that. Getting into those, super, super powerful. Number 3 is hyperlocal directories. So like local government business directories, maybe events, local media sites, local blogs, local events sites, getting cited on those. All of those types of things are super, super powerful, because when somebody goes to an AI model and they search for, something that a prompt, they enter a prompt or a search phrase, a query, whatever you want to call it, an AI search, asking AI to return or recommend businesses that provide a particular product or service in the area that they're looking for. Those types of directories can be referenced and pulled into the AI search results where it's mentioning the brand, right? It's providing a brand mention. Okay, here are the top companies that provide the products or services that you're looking for in that specific area. And it's not the actual company websites that are being referenced in the AI search results. It's big directory sites, press releases, hyperlocal directories, industry-specific directories that are actually being pulled into the AI search results, but they are referencing the brands that are listed or published on those sites, right? And press releases can do the same thing. So those are kind of third-party mentions, right? That still gets the brand mention. It still accomplishes the same thing as having, or something, still accomplishes very similar results as if the main company's website was cited in the AI search results. Because what do people do once they get recommendations from AI search? They then go to Google and search for each one of those company name or companies by name to see what other people are saying about them online, or to look at the Google business profile to see what the hours are or where they're located, all that kind of stuff. And so the point that I'm trying to make is, whether you're publishing content that you have control over, where it's being published, the structure of it, et cetera, that's one way to get an AI search. The other way is through off-page signals alone, which is, again, business directory listings, national high authority directories, hyperlocal directories, and industry or niche specific directories, and then press releases. And then also, when you are publishing, especially like in press releases, answering a frequently asked question and answer in the press release can help it to increase the chances of it getting into AI search. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because again, it's crazy how well this works. And then also, kind of creating the tone and style guide. Some of the stuff that, just so you guys can see, I want to show you briefly, because this, again, just kind of teasing a little bit more of what we got coming when we launch Clone Constructor. Is we've got a number of different types of data packs that are basically modular plugins that you just plug into the gem and the knowledge base that can enhance or enrich the copy with whatever data it is that you want to enhance or enrich it with. Like, in other words, you can see that, for example, we have industry data packs, right? So what would an industry data pack be? Well, in my industry, if I am publishing content to market to tree service contractors, I want to have tree care industry data that I can plug in to my copy gem, my ACE, AI avatar copy engine, right? I call that ACE. I could plug that industry data pack into my ACE. And so whenever my ACE is creating copy or generating copy on my behalf, it can inject industry statistics, data, revenue, all that kind of stuff into the copy, right? If I'm doing this for a tree service contractor, then we do consumer facing tree care data pack. Like, in other words, tree care, landscape maintenance, things like that are consumer facing, not industry statistics, because that would be relevant to the business owner, but not to the consumer, the property owner. You see what I'm saying? So we can do different types of data packs depending on who the audience is that we are publishing the content for, right? So those are different types of data packs that we can enhance the content with for industry terms. What about local data packs? So local information about the specific area, current events, news, local events, that kind of stuff, all of that, right? So we come in, I've got prompt templates here, guys, to be able to create your own data pack, right? So this is the local data pack prompt template. So here's the prompt. This is the prompt that we would run for each client as we're building their copy engine. You understand? As we're building their copy engine, constructing their clone, we would then go in and create a local data pack for each client, right? So that it's specific to their area, their specific region, right? Where they're targeting. Go back, we can see some of the other data packs, right? What do we have here? We've got SEO data packs. So these are what I was just talking about. Like I was showing you the system. This is for, topic clusters or content clusters, right? A pillar page with spokes, which is one very powerful way for optimizing for AI search right now. So here's and guys, EEAT, something that used to be just baked into the algorithm, which now used to be just a manual guidelines for Google manual reviewers. I believe EEAT is actually baked into the algorithm now, which is, I think, why authorship is helping to overcome some of the suppression filters I think that Google is applying to most content now. So you can see all of that is built into this data pack. So we add that data pack to the knowledge base when we're going to publish an SEO article. Okay, hopefully that's clear. You also see some of the other ones like what I just showed you, the reverse engineer Google AI mode. That's the data pack that I just assigned to that gem before I ran that example post. But just some other ones, guys. Copywriter data packs. Look at this, right? Take a look at this, guys. We have copywriter data pack for Alex Hormozy, Dan Kennedy, John Carlton, Victor Schwab. We've got a few other ones in here too that are in MD files that have not been added in Google Drive. But we've got, Eugene Schwartz, Gary Halbert. There's a number of them there. There's also other different types of content, types. A rage bait funnel, right? A rage bait identity funnel. That's a different type. There's another one, Robert Cialdini with influence or persuasion and influence. If you guys are familiar with Robert Cialdini, the author of those books, I've got data packs for that so that we can experiment with copy, right? Different copy frameworks, different copywriter styles. But remember, when I say experiment, we're still publishing content with what was the system instruction of the gem? It's the client's tone and style guide for whoever the subject matter expert is that we're assigning as the author to that content. So whenever we plug these additional data packs in, all we're doing is enhancing the content, but the content still being, or the copy that's being generated is still being generated in that persona's tone and style. Just now with the additional instructions kind of infused into that copy, if that makes sense. So I'm just showing you guys copywriter data packs, current event data packs. This is how you can work. This is the data pack generator so that you can work in current events, starting with it. The emphasis tells the prompt that when it's creating a local current events data pack, that it should focus in on trying to find relevant news for the local area first. If it can't find that, then it can try to find national news that would be relevant, like to create some sort of a tie-in, an angle, a hook to the content that would be related to national news. But first, it looks for related local kind of current events and news and stuff like that, so that it can enhance the content with locally relevant news before it goes national. But in any case, it's worth testing both, right? Because you have no idea what type of what content's going to perform better without testing. So this gives us the opportunity to test all these different things, but still publishing in the specific persona's tone and style. Does that make sense? So we've got like a number of the post type data packs. These are specifically for publishing content on particular platforms. So these are the instruction set that tell the Gemini gem, the copy engine, how many words there should be. What is the tone and style that gets the most engagement, or the formatting that gets the most engagement on each one of these platforms. So basically, this is a modular plugin system where we just plug in all this data. We create the tone and style guide from samples that we collect from the client. And there's a very easy way to do that. Google Meet or Zoom meeting. That's it. You just interview them. And you get the transcript. You get the video. Now you've got the transcript. You take the transcript and run it through a series of prompts that I've developed that then creates that tone and style guide, right? And so it's not that hard of a process. All you need is a 30-minute interview, which you need basically 20 minutes of uninterrupted video, conversational video of the subject that you're cloning. And again, we can do it via Zoom or Meet, Google Meet, and that's all that is needed. It's about 20 minutes of conversational video of the persona. From that, it's about a 30-minute interview, but between the dialogue and everything else, we need about 20 minutes of uninterrupted. When I say uninterrupted, I mean, you can edit yourself out of the video afterwards, but then what we need is about 20 it doesn't all have to be continuous, but 20 minutes of content of spoken conversational content from the persona or the subject that we're cloning, if that's clear. From that alone, we can create the tone and style guide, right? And so very, very powerful. And that's kind of what we're going to be launching in the next couple of weeks, guys. I don't know, I spent most of the time talking about that, but I thought it was worth demonstrating. So we do have some questions I'd like to get into. So let me go ahead and grab the screen and also look to see if we had any comments that I need to address. Lou Phillip, excuse me, regarding publishing on subdomains, what are your thoughts on publishing blogs on the main site, but no index these specific blog posts? Would you still get the benefit of the internal link? Yeah, you can, because Google still credits links that there's still value to links that aren't indexed, right? I've tested this. Now it's been years since I've tested it, but even de-indexed sites, getting a link from a de-indexed site can still produce a benefit. I know some people are like, oh, well, that's toxic. No, it's not necessarily the case. That's not necessarily the case, because we've actually seen about, again, it's been a few years since I've done any of that kind of testing, but I wouldn't do that. Just to be clear, I wouldn't do what you suggested. Will the internal link still provide a benefit? Yeah, it's likely that it would, but I wouldn't want a bunch of content on the site, that pages on the site that aren't indexed, because what is the purpose of those pages then if they're not indexed, right? Here's the thing. I've been saying this, guys, for 2 years now, minimum. The two most important things in local search right now are branded location authority. Number 2 is site efficiency. So if you have a bunch of pages on the site that are set to no index, that makes the site less efficient, because Google's still crawling them, right? Unless you set them to no index, no follow, which the no follow tells Google, don't crawl this page. But why would you do that? Then if you set it to no index, no follow, then that kills the chance of that internal link of being crawled, because you're telling Google, don't index this page and don't even bother crawling it. That's what the no follow means in the Meta robots directive, right? Index follow says index this page and crawl it. That's what that's saying. No index, no follow would be don't index, don't follow. No index follow is don't index, but crawl it. Do you understand? And so if you leave the Meta robots directive to no index but follow, that's still using crawl budget. So the site is less efficient, because now you're wasting crawl resources on pages that you're telling Google, don't index this, but I want you to spend crawl resources on. So I think making the site more efficient is the better way to go, right? Reduce crawl resistance, make it super efficient for Google to crawl and understand what the site is about. Get rid of technical SEO errors, redirects, internal redirects, no index pages. Get rid of all that stuff, right? Don't get me wrong. If you got pages on the site that are no indexed because you don't want them indexed in Google search, but you're sending traffic to them through external sources, email campaigns, social media campaigns, paid ads, something like that, that's fine. That's different, because that page has a purpose. But if all you're doing is publishing a page, setting it to no index because you want the internal link, but you're not sending traffic to that page anywhere else, or internal link clicks from somebody that lands on the site from another entrance page and then clicks to that page. If the page is receiving traffic and engagement from external sources or from internal link clicks when somebody lands on the site, don't get rid of it. But if it's just there purely to try to manipulate, like because you want the internal link, don't do it. Because instead, why wouldn't you just publish that and allow it to be indexed on either a subdomain or an external branded blog? See what I'm saying? Because then it's not, first of all, it's not affecting the crawl budget of the site. It's not competing with the site either, because it's not on the same domain, but you're still getting now an indexable post with a link to whatever page it is that you're trying to promote anyway. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. All right, guys, let me see if I can drop this screen share and get into the questions, and we're going to wrap up. I'll try to roll through these fairly quickly. I'll go over a little bit today, but not much. All right, so here are, it's going to be this one, dummy. Okay, here are the questions. First one's from Alex. Guys, we're going to try to roll through these because I know I spent so much time on that kind of demonstration. I didn't mean to, but we'll try to get through these. All right. So Alex's first question is, says, hey, Bradley, I've been buying citations, 30 or 40 citations each month, for a few clients. Some get indexed, but most don't. Yep. That's normal. Sorry. I've got to click on there. I add them to the Google Sheet in the same as, but it seems like they're not getting indexed very easily, which is normal. Do you have any recommendations on indexing services, or would you recommend any service with cheaper links back to the citations to help power them up? Yes. And that's exactly what I always have recommended, Alex. And that is, you can use bulk spam gigs to power up citations, and it's not to power them up. It's just to help them to get indexed. That's it. Remember, by the way, it's not about getting the citations indexed that matters. It's getting them crawled. That's what matters. We just talked about this. The previous question that I just answered was about, if the page is no index, can it still produce a positive effect? Yeah, it can, if Google crawls it, right? Because then Google's aware of the link. So here's the thing, guys. If you go to Search Console and you go to whatever domain it is that you're analyzing, right? Go to Search Console and go to the external links section and look at the external links. You'll see the domains that are linking to the target domain, and whether they're indexed or not, it doesn't matter. Google's aware that the link is there. Do you see what I'm saying? So, but to get back to your question, Alex, certainly it makes it easier to know if the link is being counted or not, if it's indexed, right? If it's not indexed, you don't know whether Google's aware of it unless you go cross-reference the external links report from Search Console. And that's a tedious pain in the ass. I don't recommend doing that at scale. Okay. So how do you do it then? Okay. So there's a couple of things. I've got some notes here. I know you guys aren't going to see my notes. So let me try to see if I can open that up. Just that. And here's a couple of examples. Take a screenshot of this, guys, or Alex, if you're on, or anybody that would benefit from this. That's here. All right. So if you're trying to index, or at least, that's ultimately what you're trying to do, is get them indexed. The kind of best ways to get business directories or in citations indexed is, number one is embeds. Alex, if it's Alex Z from our mastermind, you already are doing the Google sheet that's embedded. So you get the embed code for publish a Google sheet, get the embed code. And when you put that in the ID page, right? And in column A, you put keywords that are related to the business or search queries related to the business. Column B, you put all the external page URLs that have accurate information published about that business. And then in column C, you put the concatenate formula that then you drag and drop all the way down for all the rows, so that it concatenates the search queries with the URLs in column C. So you get an anchor text link in column C, and then you hide columns 1 and 2, so that all that is displayed are the hypertext links with the search queries, and then you publish it, grab the embed code, and put that in the ID page. Well, you can do an embed gig with the ID page embed code, the Google Sheet embed code, right? So here's a few examples from Legit. We'll put these in chat. Let me actually do that really quickly. I'm just going to grab the whole lot. I don't know if this will allow me to put the whole thing in there, but I'll try it. Yeah, it looks like it did, but it broke it up. God damn it. Of course it did. Sorry guys, that looks like it came through really shitty. Let me see if I can back up. I'll have to try to just post this in the replay, guys. If you guys can take a screenshot of it, you'll see it. But basically what I'm showing you here is, and I got to get back to the right screen. There it is. What I'm showing you here is there's a number of gigs on Legit that you can use for doing embeds. Now, I've used this guy several times for YouTube videos as well as Google Maps. You just have to reach out and ask if usually the embed gigs, as long as it's an embed code, they'll do it. It might say Google Maps and YouTube only on the gig, but just reach out to the provider and say, look, I want to embed a Google Sheet embed code. Will you do that for me? Most of the time they'll do it. Okay. So the point is you can do that. Like that's 1,000 embeds. This guy's Serp House or whatever his name is, 1,000 embeds for $10. So you send them the G Sheet embed code and he'll do 1,000 embeds, right? 1,500 embeds for $35 for this guy, 1,000 embeds for $40 from this guy. Okay. Then there's bulk spam link gigs. Again, these are just legit providers. I've used this one. I've used both of these guys. Well, I'm not sure that I've used this one, but I've used this guy for sure. The ones that I have the SM short links for, those are ones that I've used before. And this one I don't have a short link for, but I've used this guy recently too for doing some map testing, map embed testing, excuse me. So again, these are both like 50,000 links, right? For $16. It's kitchen sink spam links. You see what I'm saying? Like we throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink. You know what I mean? I've always called that kitchen sink spam. That's precisely what this is. I would not put that anywhere near the money site, but for business directory listings, yeah, you can do that all day long. You just get all of your citation URLs, make sure that they're live, right? Run them through http status.io, make sure that they're live, eliminate any with error messages and all that kind of stuff. and then take whatever remaining URLs that you have and submit them, and you'll get 50,000 links or 10,000, whatever it is that you want, built to them. And all that does, guys, it's not about powering them up. It's about helping that almost forces the Google bots to come crawl them. You see what I'm saying? And that's what matters. Okay, moving on, because I want to get done soon. If anybody's still on and you got to go, feel free to go, guys. I'm just going to wrap up these questions. Okay, back here. Sorry, guys. All right, we're going to wrap up with the next one is from Jeff Sass. He says, Bradley, when creating local sites for your tree service guys, when linking to other local websites through some sort of top sites or things to do, like in your felling.pro sites, how significant is it to provide a Google Map link versus the direct link to the thing that you are including? That's a good question. It would require testing, Jeff. I don't know. In fact, my more recent builds, we've completely eliminated the top sites and things to do. I haven't built enough sites recently without those georelevance data points. That's what I call them. Georelevance data points. I haven't built enough sites recently without the georelevance data points to know whether that's really the best way to go or not. My assumption is right now to eliminate and omit linking out to the top sites and things to do. For a period of time, that worked really well. And by the way, the majority of my tree service contractor clients still have their sites configured that way, because I just recently started testing on just 2 different sites without that. But I need to do more testing before I can update my SOPs for that. But just to be clear, like I said, I'm actually kind of getting away from doing that because I feel like it's spammy. Before there was a reason why we did it, but now I don't think it's necessary. I need more testing to be definitive, but you can test with that. I can't tell you because I don't know. I've always linked to the Google Map. And that's what you're asking, like versus a direct link to the thing that you're including. I've always used the Google Map link because I'm trying to create the association with in Google Maps. That's precisely why we're doing it. Do you understand? Again, you could test with it, because remember, if the website, let's say you link to a website instead of the Google profile, the Google Maps profile for whatever it is that you're citing as a top site or things, things to do or whatever. If that website is associated with the Google business profile that you would have linked to anyway, then it should perform similarly, but I don't know. It would require testing because I always link to the Maps link. Okay. The Google business profile link. Okay. So it would require testing, Jeff. I wish I had an answer for you, but I'm not just going to make up an answer. I don't know. It requires testing, and you can do that, right? Take a handful of pages on the site and optimize them linking to the map link profiles, and then take another handful of pages on the site and link direct to like their websites instead of the GB profile, and see, tracked results. And once you have an idea of like, if one configuration appears to be performing better than another, then take the other configuration and apply that change to it and see, does it create a performance gain? If so, now you have your answer. And it's not, you don't just do that once, you duplicate that multiple times and see, is the trend consistent, right? Is the result consistent? If so, then you can work that into your standard operating procedure. That's split testing, right? That's direct response marketing principles, split testing. You always try to beat the control. What is the control? The control is the best performing configuration, but you always split test a single variable against what is currently the best, the control, to try to beat the control. And once you find something that tends to provide a performance gain, you want to duplicate that multiple times to confirm and validate that it is indeed something that will consistently provide a gain. And then you can work that into the control. Does that make sense? That becomes the new control with that new configuration, right? And then you split test other things to try to beat that control again. That's, again, direct response marketing principles 101. Okay. John says, do you have a module in your mastermind that covers the signals to get mentioned in LLMs or AI search? Yeah, we just covered that most of today's training. So yes, but we go in deeper, and I've got a lot of other kind of tricks up my sleeve right now that are working for that. So we can talk about that in the mastermind, but obviously that some of that has to be restricted. Justin says, how big of a ranking hit will I take if I change my business phone number to my business on my website or GBP? I have no citations built except maybe Yelp, if that counts. Should I be worried to change it? No, you don't have to be worried at all, Justin. you know, as long as, here's the thing, in the Google Business Profile, you can add multiple phone numbers. There's only one that will be displayed. That's the primary number. But if you want to switch it out, just leave the other number as an additional number. Like, in other words, go in your Google Business Profile Manager, go to the phone settings or whatever, add a new phone number, right? You're going to take what's currently the existing phone number and move that to the additional phone number field. And then in the primary number field is you're going to put the new number. That way you're not changing it. You're not changing the name, address, and phone number. You're just adding another phone number. You understand? And that prevents NAP discrepancies. If you were to remove the old number and put a new number in without leaving the old number associated with the GBP, then that could create NAP discrepancies. Okay. Google's a lot more forgiving on that as long as you have all the numbers referenced in the GBP manager. Okay. Jose says, hey, Bradley, will we do a Christmas workshop or a New Year workshop? I want to feel like a hero to my clients again, but I've been struggling getting them results lately. I don't know about a workshop, but we're going to be launching Clone Constructor, I hope, before Christmas. But in January, we're also got another launch coming up too. We probably do some workshops around that time, but that would be in January. YouTube comment, I'm gonna skip that one. Jay says, when it comes to backlink building for local business, how do you recommend approaching it? Competitive link analysis reports, Jay. I've been talking about that for years. There's free training on the Semantic Mastery YouTube channel. Just go search competitive link analysis for local SEO on our channel. You'll see the video. It's an hour and 8 minutes long or something like that. It was extracted from one of my mastermind webinars where I teach exactly how to perform a competitive link analysis, how to prepare a competitive link analysis report, the exact tools, the exact process. All of that is already, it's publicly available on the YouTube channel, guys. Or come purchase a competitive link analysis from me at Semantic Links. I'm happy to do it for you. My team will generate the written report, and then I can review the report in a screencast video and provide you with my specific recommendations. And as you guys are probably already aware, I'm very, very thorough. So either do it yourself, go to our YouTube channel, search for competitive link analysis for local SEO, and just apply that. Or you can order one from me at Semantic Links, and I'll provide you with the written report plus a video review and recommendation, and then you'll know how to do it. And you can model that for other clients in-house if you'd like. Okay. What do you usually provide in your mid to top monthly retainer package? The same thing that we provide in our lowest subscription level package. All of our subscription levels contain the exact same things. The only thing that changes is the quantity of those things. Does that make sense? So our low to medium competition subscription, high competition subscription, or extreme competition subscription. Those are the three levels that we have. All three levels contain the exact same things. The only thing that changes is the quantity of those things. That's it. Okay. Moving on. And by the way, you can just go to the Semantic Links .io and see the pricing. All right. Jay says, if a client wants social media posting, but they currently have very little brand presence and their website is bare bones, would you say it's worth suggesting to hold off on social media and focus on local SEO website first, get a bit of traction, understand what their customers look for, and then start the social media strategy? No, actually right now, I would recommend you start the social media strategy first, because that is going to make any content that you publish on the brand's behalf, if you assign the social media profile. I'm not talking about branded profiles, guys. I'm talking about a persona, a person that works at the company. You understand? So what I would recommend is that you start publishing content for one of the employees or executives or owner of the company, like using their social media profiles, right? Like publishing content. Now you can publish content on the branded social media accounts too, but you should split it up to where about half of the content is published on branded accounts and half of it is published on personal social media accounts for an executive or employee or founder or somebody of the company. You understand? Because again, that is, I'm telling you guys, if you do that, if you focus on building up a subject matter expert's profile and then assign that profile to content that you're publishing on the main site for the client on the company's behalf, that content will perform better. And so I'm telling you, like, honestly, right now, why do you think we're launching Clone Constructor, guys? This wasn't just because it's cool and it's fun. And it is, I think it's amazing, but it's not just, we're not just launching that for the sake of launching it. We're launching it because it's having a direct influence on local search performance, right? Having a social media profile and subject matter expert that is publishing content consistently and regularly and then assigning that author profile to the content that we're publishing for search performance helps that to perform better. That's why we're launching Clone Constructor, guys. It's not because it's an awesome service. It is. It's very cool, and it's also in demand. It's easy to sell AI and digital avatar cloning services to businesses right now because everybody's enthralled or kind of thinks, AI is black magic and all this kind of stuff. And it's not a hard sell. I know because I've already beta sold it at half price to a number of my tree service clients. But the reason we're doing it is not because it's cool. I mean, it is that too, but we're doing it because once we build, even my tree guys, I'm telling them like, look, if we can build your social media profile up across separate, multiple platforms where you're constantly publishing content, talking about your business, et cetera, answering questions, frequently asked questions about tree care and landscape maintenance and all that kind of stuff. Then when we assign you to a content that we're publishing for search performance, it will perform better. And we're seeing within a matter of 2 weeks of starting to publish consistently on social media, we're starting to see a lift in search performance as well. Swear to God, that's why we're launching Clone Constructor. Okay. So anyway, I would start with the social media posting strategy first, start to build that up. And by the way, that's a little bit easier too, initially, and with today's tools, and then you can work on developing content specifically formatted the way that I described earlier to start really trying to crush it in AI search as well as local search. All right. Sam says, well, can you check your stream settings when you share your screen? It's not clear anymore. Thought it was my settings. Only goes up to 7p. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's live. Once it's done, who knows? Sam, there's nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. So I think once the video is rendered, it's 1080p or higher. But I think during a live stream, it streams at only a certain level. I don't know what. We just started using StreamYard, so I'm not sure. Maybe it's a setting, but I have to look into it. I'll look into that for next week. Anyways, I think that's it, guys. I'm going to look at the comments and we'll wrap up for the day. Yeah, it looks like that's it. Okay. Right on. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up then. I appreciate you guys. If anybody has any questions, let me know. We got Build with Bradley meeting tomorrow. So if you're in the mastermind, please attend. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool things. Like I said, we got several things that we're about to launch, but we're going to kind of launch them out in stages so that we're not doing everything all at once. We've got one thing we're going to try to launch before Christmas. Then we got something else we're ready to launch in the middle of January. And then we've got a third thing in February. So I'm going to be demoing or kind of sharing a little bit about that tomorrow. So anyways, let me know if you guys have any questions. I appreciate everybody. We'll see you next time.